So, good evening, everyone. Time to talk about some exciting stock. And with Monday opening up soon, or if you're watching this Monday morning about the to see the bell open, this is going to be a fun time. So, what I'm going to do to mix things up a little bit is I'm going to actually bring out a little bit of news. So, we're going to see a little bit of news before we go into things. So, we're going to open up Financial Times. We're obviously going to, in this section, maybe talk about other news and look at things in the future. But today, let's just have a look at the Financial Times and let's look at Tesla. So, a lot of people have been talking about Tesla. So, let's look at Tesla today. So, when we look at Tesla, I think it's important that we look at some of the news and we see some of the information about is happening in the markets, because, of course, what's happening in the markets is actually applying to the stock. So, it's good to look. So, something interesting is US companies are basically denying a record number of shareholder votes. And when we read the article, this is talking about shareholder votes, typically in green energy initiatives, which is not great for Tesla as a green kind of company. And we're basically seeing the Trump administration and people pushing towards non-green things. Another one that's interesting is Tesla was ordered to pay $243 million in damages for a fatal autopilot crash, which again, Tesla has been trying to start their new autonomous driving, both in its cars and its new cyber taxi fleet. So this is again a real setback for Tesla there, and something that doesn't play well and is unlikely to play well in the stock in the short term, but likely this will fade over time. And then thirdly, a very interesting one, and we will look into a few of these car manufacturers and not just Tesla today, just to have a little bit of a look, especially on Ford. So we're really seeing that the tariffs were basically designed to help stop Chinese basically getting in on the US market and to basically help save American jobs. And we're basically seeing that what this has done is really damaged Ford a lot. And we're seeing that Ford has taken kind of massive hits on this, right? We're seeing that Ford is really struggling on this and has great challenges and also great challenges on the EV area. So we're really seeing, Ford concerned about this. We're seeing, kind of US sales declining from the car manufacturers and profitability and losing money and things like this. So, without further ado, let's go into looking at the stock analysis. So this is when we can look at kind of Tesla over, a few different metrics. So for example, we can look at this over like 5 years here, and then we can look at this over like a year here, and then we can bring this down to maybe like a month and then a week here, so we can see kind of what some of the stocks are looking at. But I think what you guys love is when I open up the stock in big. This is Ford. We will go into Ford in a minute, but let's go and quickly have a look at Tesla. So let me try and draw some lines for you guys and show kind of what's happening. I think if I draw some lines here, we can see this is a fairly large line, right? We're seeing this go up to kind of somewhere up here like 365, and we're seeing this down at sort of 240. And if I draw another line for you guys here, and I draw another line here going up, my line tool not drawing. There we go. And click that in and draw another line for you guys here. What we're beginning to basically see is that this is going rapidly down. So we're seeing, and you guys can probably see it, and maybe I next time try and draw them on beforehand so you guys can all see them, the lines. But what we're seeing here is lines kind of coming up, and this is kind of like a zigzag thing. So we're seeing this kind of zigzag in, but we're seeing it get smaller and smaller and smaller as it goes in. So here we go. And if I zoom out, you can really see that clear there, right? We can see this kind of big amplification getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So what this typically means, and I'm going to change the color here. Yellow, can you guys see yellow? Okay, let's do, yeah, it's kind of bearish. So let's do some red in this, right? So we can start drawing this into like a kind of funnel, So if I draw this out here and hook this down, and then if I draw this out here, again, another line here on the line draw, and draw this out, right? We can see this kind of converging somewhere around here, right? So we can see the lines kind of getting smaller. We can see this kind of moving up and down. If I kind of move that, it's not quite on the peaks. There we go, right? And again there, just somewhere around about there. So I wouldn't be unsurprised to see this move up a bit in the morning, but we can definitely see a kind of trend coming in there. So we can definitely see, and you can see how this is really getting smaller and smaller and smaller as we go in. So what this typically means is that we're going to see this do something, right? This is either going to move down a lot, and we're going to see this move down, or we're going to see this move up a lot. But it's unlikely that this will, just continue to get smaller and smaller and flatline, right? I mean, this kind of doesn't really happen in stocks that often. You can kind of see these things happening here and getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and then you're seeing like some spikes and some kind of trading in there. So this is kind of what we're looking at here. Let me try and bring up Ford just so we can have a look at kind of where Ford is as well, because I think we've talked a little bit about what Ford's happening. So I think it's interesting to see where other car manufacturers are. So if we look at Ford, right, and we zoom out to Ford here, and then I try and draw a couple lines. Let me draw these in orange, right? Take up here and draw this down. I mean, I think that's unrealistic to take up there. Let's take here. And then let's draw another line here at the bottom, right? I think with Ford, we're definitely seeing a clear picture here, right? And even if I take this peak here and I take this, I think, we're seeing this peak and this kind of moving down. So I think if I draw another line here and try and draw you guys like a green line here, that changed that color's line. I didn't mean to do that. Yeah, and let me draw you another line and there we go. Draw a green line. I think what we're likely to see here in Ford is this move down to the kind of 758 area. So we're currently what close was somewhere around about $1.31. I don't think it's unrealistic to think that by kind of October we're moving into or September, end of September, we're moving down into the sort of 726 kind of area for the stock. And I think, Ford and the data we're seeing for Ford in kind of losses and things like that make me feel that Ford is a strong short, right? Like I feel there's a lot of pressure downwards on Ford. And then when we bring this back to Tesla again, down here in Tesla, let's bring up Tesla. Right. I think what we're seeing in Tesla is a huge kind of opportunity here, right? We're seeing either this is going to move towards some of this downward trend. I mean, I'm getting all in the colors today. But we're either going to see this kind of trend downwards more. So let me try and draw this kind of trending downwards. And then how can I even draw that? I mean, I guess if I took from this peak here, and we look at this peak, right? And then I draw this again from a peak down here, and I draw this out, and I try and band this out here. Wow, we're almost out of where we can even get to, right? And even I take this down from here. And I bring this down, be a bit more conservative, right? We're going to see some volatility in this, but I still think that we can try and hit things back up again. I mean, what are we looking at here? Here we're looking at November 21, and then we see December 24. So if we bring this out to like July 26, obviously that's really long in here, but it's very likely that we'll see this kind of move up again. But there is a risk that this could come down in reasonably rapid pace, at the end of kind of November, we could see kind of this stock kind of move down a lot. So there is some kind of risk there. But I think when we move back into the kind of day trading area of this, I think, we saw this fall down. And I think it's very likely that we're going to see this go to somewhere around 325 during the day. So I think it's pretty unlikely in the way that we see this getting smaller and smaller and smaller that we're going to see this fall down in the morning to something like 289. I think we're very likely to start seeing this have a rise up to somewhere around about 325, 327, something like that. So I think this is kind of some interesting stocks that I see for Monday. So I see Tesla has a good opportunity for a buy Monday morning as the markets open, and I think Ford. I think we have a sort of strong indication that we're going to start seeing some more kind of selling on Ford, especially over a longer period of time. But definitely, I think in the morning we're likely to see some more selling because even this here we're seeing is kind of above the lines that I've drawn. So it's kind of really going to fall down here in the morning, probably down to somewhere in the region of sort of $8. So those are some interesting stock picks. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I will see you again tomorrow. Thank you guys.